Nemo Radio is on the air.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
It's John Nemo. Welcome back to another episode of Nemo Radio. And nothing, my friends, gets me more fired up than terrible customer service. Just awful. So I knew I had to hit record on a podcast. There's so many good business lessons available to you and to me about our own business, our own brand, our own approach when we experience really bad customer service. And so the scenario here was one where our garage door stopped working. So we only about 5 months ago had paid a couple $1,000s to a company and to get a new garage door opener put in place and new springs. And, it seemed really expensive. And I'm thinking, wow, that was a lot. But again, it was urgent and we didn't do a lot of due diligence and research and get, competing bids because they charge you money just to show up. And anyway, all that said, yesterday, all of a sudden, for some reason, the garage door won't close. And I'm like, what is going on, right? And it's getting late in the day, and you never want to have a situation where you can't use your garage. You're parking your cars in and out all the time. And so I call the company that installed, we spent $2,000 with 5 months ago. I say a couple months, 5 months ago. And it was a nightmare. Of course, you're being put through multiple different, voicemails and voice prompts. And I finally get to a real person. And I explain the whole situation and, of course, go through verifying all of my data. And, yep, we have you in the system. You spent $2,000 with us 5 months ago. And I tell them, here's everything I've been trying. I spent 2 hours myself going through all of the, YouTube tutorials and error codes and, trying to fix it myself because obviously not wanting to, go that route of having a company come out. And I'm thinking I'm already kind of, again, you have to really understand where your customer's coming from, where your prospect's coming from. I think that's such an underrated part of good sales and good customer service is taking the time to really analyze the other person's frame. What frame of mind are they in? Are they emotional? Are they upset? Can they not catch their breath? Because I'm coming to them frustrated and upset and worn out and tired, and I had a long day, blah, blah, blah. And basically the customer service person says, well, I'm saying, well, everything should be under warranty. I mean, we just got this 5 months ago. So I'm assuming you guys can come out, diagnose it, repair it, whatever for free, right? It should be warranted. We spent $2,000. And they're like, oh no, we won't offer any service that expired. Our install or our labor that we did to put it in, we only warranty that for, I think it was 30 days, or actually I think it was 90 days. And I'm at 120 days or 104. I'm at 150 days. So I'm 60 days outside of the warranted labor. So they're like, if it's the manufacturing part, if it's the engine or the motor's bad, you will have to go call the garage door manufacturer and get the part shipped to you. And then we'll install it, but we're going to charge you. And we're going to charge you a trip fee to come out to your house. And we can't come for 10 days. And just because you spent $2,000 with us, we don't really care. So I was like, because I'm at the point where I'm like, and then I said, well, can I just have some phone support? Like, can you just try to talk me through some troubleshooting? I've been trying on the internet for a couple hours. Nope, we don't offer any phone support, any technical support. That expired with your 90-day, labor warranty or whatever. So I'm like, okay, so just to, and then I did the whole thing. Can I talk to a manager? No one's available. Managers are never available. There's never, apparently, when you get outsourced customer service, there's never someone there who can actually help you. So what ends up happening is they then say, fine, I'll route you to a manager's voicemail, and I get hung up on. Of course, right? You've all been in the automated phone hell. So I call back, I get another person. I have to go through the whole scenario again, right? You've been there. You've done this. Trust me. Go through the whole scenario again, get everything verified again, and then I re-explain, and I basically say, listen, at this point, I'm dying. Like, I will pay your trip fee just to come out here. and then let's battle after that. Like if it's a warranty thing or whatever, I'm like, I'm just desperate. And they're like, we can't get anyone out there for 10 days. And I'm like, is there any kind of emergency? Oh, then you'd have to pay overtime and, And so I'm like, I don't want to pay the exorbitant overtime fees. And of course, I, as the customer, am feeling emotional and upset and hurt that, man, for $2,000, you won't even give me phone support. Like you won't even try to talk me through some quick fixes. Because again, what if it was something really dumb and simple, right? What if the garage door, I know more now about garage doors than anyone should because I spent 2 hours going through every error code. And if the light flashes 3 times, it means this. And if it flashes 4 times, it means that. And I'm thinking, could you just try to talk me through some stuff? They're like, nope, don't offer it. Can't help you. Okay. So I just, it basically, I hang up, ruin the night, detach the door, put it down. This morning, I'm like, forget it. I'm not going back to this company. So I contacted a new company, a more well-known one that's bigger, and we had worked with, 15 years ago, that I hadn't called the last time for some reason. I just didn't think of them. And this company, I fill out an online form. Within 15 minutes, they're texting me going, hey, okay, tell us what's going on. They're texting back and forth. Then they say, can we just call you? And I say, sure. And they're like, it doesn't look like we did this service for you. And I said, yeah, that's right. Sorry, a different company did it. I'm just looking for help. And they're like, well, hey, we're happy to try to help you on the phone. Why don't you walk out to your garage and let's tell me what's going on and I'll try to coach you through it. So this guy, again, for free, I'm not a customer, for 10 minutes tries to walk me through fixing the simple stuff. Are these lights turned on? Is it flashing? Is it doing this? Is it doing that? Did you try this? Did you try that? So I'm like, yep, tried all that stuff. Thank you so much. He's like, oh man, unfortunately, yeah, at this point, if we can't fix it for you over the phone, we will have to send a technician. Since we didn't do the work, like we do have to charge you a trip fee, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's fine. Like I said, you've already done more than the other company who I paid $2,000 to. At least you're willing to talk to me on the phone and try to troubleshoot the basic, simple knucklehead level stuff so that he's like walking me through everything. So then within 90 minutes, actually within 2 hours, I would say, they get a technician to my house, regular rates, right? Trip fee, whatever. And within 10 minutes, he diagnoses it and says, oh, the company you paid $2,000 to, they actually installed it wrong. They put this, when they made the chain, line up, they actually put it too close to the door opener. So eventually it slid too far back and that's why your door won't close. It thinks it's a safety thing and blah, blah, blah. So it's like a 5-minute fix. Again, cost me $100 total to fix it. and they're great. They're super friendly, super fast. And again, he's only here for like 20 or 30 minutes and I pay $100 because that's their minimum fee just to do any work at all. And I'm like, fine, best $100 of my life, because it was such a good reminder of the difference, the stark difference between the two different garage door companies, right? And think about your own business, your own brand, your own approach. When people are asking questions, even if they're not a client of yours, or when they have an issue. I'll give you a great example. Somebody came to me, a couple months ago and was like, yeah, I bought your course back in 2019 and you offered at the time a free bonus coaching call. I'm wondering if I can utilize that. And I'm like, okay, so you bought a course from me 5 years ago and you want a free coaching call now? Like the 5 years, right? And it would have been very easy for me to say, listen, like, come on, man, 5 years, like an online course. It was probably contingent on something at the time of, but I was just like, you know what? I'm going to honor that. Like I looked them up and I'm like, I found in my system, yeah, they actually did buy the course. They didn't refund it. Okay. I'm like, sure. You know what? Why not? So then I give them a free coaching call and they may end up turning into like a, done for you client, which would be very lucrative for me. But the whole point was I didn't have to honor that. I didn't have to say, well, that was 5 years ago. Like, I'm not going to do this or not going to do that. And people will do that. They'll be like, yeah, I bought your course in 2016. And I'm like, you mean 8 years ago? And you want the blah, blah, blah. And I'll give it to them, because what I found is, and the other thing too, is where someone will ask a question or I'll try to diagnose something for them, even a prospect on a sales call. I will say to them, like, well, if you're getting these results over here, or if you're doing this and this and this, you don't really need me, right? Just being straight with you. Like, as much as I'd love to take your money, you'd be dumb. Like, don't do that, right? Like, in your own best interest, do this. And so, for example, I had one prospect recently say to me, like, hey, everyone's telling me that on LinkedIn, I should be publishing status updates like 2 or 3 times a day. And I need to do all these short form videos nonstop on LinkedIn. And I got to publish 100 articles a week and blah, 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 blah. And I actually said, and he's like, can you do that for me? Can I pay you to do that? Can I pay you to create all this content and edit it and publish it for me? And I was very straight with the guy. And I said, sure, like we do all that. I said, just so you know, in my opinion, having done this for over a decade and working with done-for-you clients with LinkedIn lead generation, that won't move the needle and it's not going to result in easy, direct leads for you. So if I were you, I would not do that. Instead, I would just do one-on-one outreach because the money on LinkedIn is in the mailbox. It's all in direct messaging, in-mail, free in-mail, group messaging, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's still to this date where we see the best results for our clients, where I get the best results for myself. That has never changed in over a decade of doing LinkedIn lead generation. That's what works. You don't need to publish tons of content. And then I said, here's all the reasons why, because it gets lost in the shuffle and the sea, and not everyone sees your content when you publish it. So even if you have 10,000 followers on LinkedIn and you publish a new post or article or video, it only shows it to a small snippet. So actually the 10,000 people aren't even seeing it, even though they said they want to follow you and get all your content. LinkedIn's only showing it to maybe 100 of them. And then based on how quickly they interact with the content, if they like it, engage it, share it, comment on it, then LinkedIn knows, okay, we should show it to more. And I'm like, it's a game. It's an algorithm. It's not easy, right? It's not like an email list where 10,000 people get your message. So that cost me money, right? Like the prospect was like, oh, okay, well, thanks for being honest. I guess I won't hire you to do that stuff. And I don't really need the lead generation because I'm doing X, Y, Z. So thanks, bye. And it was like, okay. But again, if you do things the right way, and if you try to sincerely help people, I think you really win brand loyalty. You win trust. And I think even that person that's not going to hire me to do the content, if they come across someone who's like, yeah, do you know anyone good with LinkedIn leads? Hopefully they would recommend me and go, you know what, this guy's really good. Like he's straightforward. Like he'll tell you the truth. He'll be honest with you if he doesn't think you need this or that. And I think long-term, you're just going to do so much better because what is the phrase? It's like, it's something with sheep, but it's like, you can shear a sheep a bunch of times, like cut off some of their hair, but you can only shave them once, right? If you take a sheep and you can cut some of the wool and they'll come back to you and trust you. But if you shave them down to the skin, that sheep will never trust you again and never come near you. And that's kind of the similar with prospects. If you burn a prospect, if you churn and burn a lead, if you burn a client, if you do wrong by them, even if just it's in their mind, they will never come back, right? You will lose brand loyalty. They will not refer anyone to you. They will not come back and spend more money with you. In fact, they may try to crusade against you if other people bring your name up. So you always I've run into this time and time again, right? Running a business for over a decade, trying to do right by people. Examples that come up, someone wants to break a contract with us. They want to haggle about money. They want this, they want that. Like I'll always try to find a solution that they feel good about instead of just being like, this is black and white. You have to do this. We have a signed document saying this, this, this. And not that I'm like asking people to take advantage of me or try to be difficult with me. It's more, I always want to try to leave people on good terms. Obviously do something that makes sense for the business and weigh that against the pros and cons of, okay, if we don't follow the letter of the law with this contract and I actually get less, is that okay for me? Is there, you know what I mean? But there's just something about that. Now me as a customer with these garage door companies, I immediately went on Google and gave the one company a 5-star review, raved about them. Anyone that asks for garage door help, I'm recommending these guys because they helped me for free over the phone, even though I wasn't a customer. They tried to solve my problems without having to charge me. When that didn't work, they still were able to send somebody to my house within 2 hours who immediately was able to solve it within 10 minutes. And he was able to also give us feedback, like, here's why this happened. This was installed too close to the opener. it slid out of place, and that's what happened. And the guy was also honest. He said, just so you know, if it makes you feel better, the other place you did pay an insane amount of money. He said, for your springs and your motor. He's like, usually, you paid them $2,000 for new springs and a motor. For us, it would probably be like $700 to $1,000. He said, but just so you don't feel totally fleeced by these guys, to use a sheep analogy, he said, just so you don't feel totally fleeced, they actually put in the highest quality springs on the market. He said, I don't know if they told you that or not, but he goes, like, the average springs that we put in on a typical $700 to $1,000 job, those springs are good for like 7 to 10 years. He's like, the ones this guy put in for you will last like 35 to 50 years or something. I was like, oh, well, okay. So he's like, you get what you pay for. So you paid for the highest quality springs, which I remember this engagement from 5 months ago. The guy didn't tell me that. He basically made it sound like, if you don't get these, you're going to have trouble again. Your springs are going to break. You want to get the best. This is the best. He didn't say like, oh, and by the way, you won't need anything for 30 years. Because of course, as a homeowner, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be here in 30 years. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be alive in 30 years, man. I would have much rather saved half the fee and said, give me the springs that should be good for 10 years, right? So that's another example of that first company being disingenuous with me, selling me something I didn't really need, right? To go back to the LinkedIn and the content analogy, this guy was like, I'm going to sell you the most expensive spring I have, even though you don't really need it. Like, he didn't say to me when he sold it, like, well, how long are you going to be in the house? And I mean, is it something where if you get 10 years out of this, you're going to feel good? Do you want to be like, I don't ever want to worry about it again. I want 30 years or more. He didn't say all that. He's just like, you need this, you need this, you need this. I was like, fine, I'm stressed out. Just put it in. I'm getting fleeced anyway. So that's just another example of that first company doing a bad job. So then, to kind of the postscript to the whole story is, my wife calls the first company today and was like, hey, and we know it won't go anywhere, but just out of principle, she called him and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you guys did this service for us and blah, blah, blah. My husband called twice yesterday and they're like, yep, we have all these notes. We did forward it. A manager should call you in 2 to 3 business days. So I'm like, so a manager will call you in 2 to 3 days to address your concern. And they said also, yeah, we can't get out there for at least 10 days. And she's like, oh my God. Well, she goes, well, while you're doing that, within the last 12 hours, we were actually able to get a different company out here to fix it for $100. And my wife was like, I would love to see, and they said it had to do with the installation and, and I know we're outside the warranty period, whatever, but if you're willing, if you want to try to win back my business or, leave me with a better feeling, long-term, I'd love for you to kind of, reimburse me the $100 I paid this other company because you wouldn't come out for free. You wouldn't even talk to me over the phone. You wouldn't look at it. You wouldn't let me talk to a manager for 3 days. And you said you can't even get here for 10 days. And they're like, yeah, we probably won't do anything for you, but a manager might call you in 3 days. So I was like, okay. So again, what happens is we're going to go out and Google, probably already did, and leave them a 1-star review and complain about them. We're going to sing the praises of the other place, and we're going to have brand loyalty to them. When you treat people well, even if it doesn't serve your best needs, it's going to come back to you in some other form, right? It's going to come back to you via a referral, via a positive review, via somebody not hurting your brand, right? Even if you part ways and it didn't work out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you can find a way to part ways with a client or a customer where they at least feel good about the resolution, they're not mad, that will protect your brand. They won't go on an online rampage and like flame you all over the internet and, bash you, right? And hurt you. So there's just so many good lessons in these experiences. I wish I didn't have them. But when I do, it's just a great reminder for me and for you of making sure you protect your brand. And making sure the way that you interact with prospects and clients and customers, you try to always do the right thing and do right by people. And even if it costs you money, even if it costs you business, I feel like, and have seen firsthand over a decade, it does pay off in the long haul. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of businesses, there's a lot of professions where they will kind of churn and burn. right? And they will just burn people and turn them over as fast as they can on to the next one. I just think, again, you have to decide what kind of legacy you want to have, what kind of brand you want to have, because those are the brands that nobody trusts and nobody will go to, and they have the 1-star reviews and et cetera, et cetera. So with all that said, thanks for listening. Hope you found it helpful. If you need any garage door tips or services, I'm your guy. As I now have a PhD in garage door error codes and flashing lights. So with all that said, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you soon on another episode.